Commander Jake Thompson pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the abandoned research station, his breathing ragged as plasma bolts scorched the air inches from his head. The Vorthan raiders had been hunting them for 3 days across the desolate moon of Kepler 442b, and their ammunition was running dangerously low. "This way," whispered Princess Lyra of the Alterian Empire, her ethereal blue skin shimmering in the dim emergency lighting. Her pointed ears twitched at every distant sound, a trait that had saved their lives countless times during their desperate flight. Despite being royalty from one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, she moved with the fluid grace of a trained warrior. Jake followed her through the maintenance corridors, marveling at how someone so elegant could navigate such harsh terrain. The Alterians were known throughout the galaxy for their beauty and technological prowess, but Jake had learned that Princess Lyra possessed something far more valuable than either trait, an unbreakable spirit. 3 days ago, their diplomatic vessel had been ambushed while returning from peace negotiations between Earth and the Alterian Empire. Jake, serving as humanity's military liaison, had been assigned to protect the princess during the talks. When Vorthan pirates attacked their ship, he had managed to get her to an escape pod moments before the vessel exploded. Now they were stranded on this barren moon, hunted by mercenaries who wanted to sell the princess to the highest bidder. The bounty on Alterian royalty was astronomical, especially one as politically important as Lyra. "The communication array should be just ahead," Lyra said, her voice barely audible. Her normally radiant complexion had grown pale over the past day, and Jake noticed she was favoring her left side where shrapnel had torn through her environmental suit. "You're hurt worse than you let on," Jake observed, catching her as she stumbled. Through the tear in her suit he could see a spreading darkness beneath her blue skin. "It is nothing," she replied, but her legs gave out completely. Jake caught her before she hit the ground, immediately recognizing the symptoms. Alterian blood poisoning, a condition that occurred when their unique physiology was exposed to certain atmospheric toxins found on primitive worlds. "The air on this moon," Jake said grimly. "It's toxic to your species, isn't it?" Lyra nodded weakly. "Our scientists discovered this decades ago. Alterians can survive perhaps 4 days in such an environment before our cellular structure begins to break down. I have perhaps 12 hours remaining." Jake's mind raced. The communication array was still 2 kilometers away, and even if they reached it, rescue could take days. He looked down at the princess, her breathing becoming more labored by the minute. "There might be another way," he said quietly. "Human blood contains certain proteins that could neutralize the toxins in your system. It's theoretical, but our medical databases suggested it might work in extreme circumstances. A direct transfusion between species is incredibly dangerous," Lyra protested. "The rejection could kill us both." "Then we die trying instead of just dying," Jake replied, already rolling up his sleeve. He pulled out his emergency medical kit and prepared the portable transfusion device. "Besides, humans are known for being stubborn. My blood might be too thick-headed to know it's supposed to reject yours." Despite her condition, Lyra managed a small smile. "Your species truly is remarkable. You face impossible odds with humor. Someone once told me that hope is humanity's greatest weapon," Jake said as he inserted the needle into his arm. "Time to prove them right." The transfusion began slowly, Jake's crimson blood mixing with Lyra's luminescent blue fluid through the medical device. Almost immediately, Lyra gasped as color began returning to her features. The dark veins beneath her skin started to fade, replaced by their natural silver patterns. But something extraordinary was happening to Jake as well. Where their blood mixed, he felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. His vision sharpened, his hearing became more acute, and he could suddenly sense the Vorthan patrol moving through the station levels below them. "What is happening to me?" Jake whispered, looking at his hands which now showed faint traces of silver veining beneath the skin. "Impossible," Lyra breathed, sitting up with renewed strength. "Your blood is not just neutralizing the toxins, it is creating a symbiotic bond. This has never been recorded between our species." Jake could feel her emotions now, a warm presence in the back of his mind. Fear, gratitude, and something deeper, respect for his selfless act. In return, he sensed that she could feel his determination to protect her, no matter the cost. "The Vorthons," Jake said suddenly, his enhanced hearing picking up their approach. 12 of them armed with plasma rifles. They'll be here in 3 minutes. "We need to reach the communication array," Lyra said, testing her mobility. The transfusion had not only healed her poisoning, but seemed to have enhanced her natural abilities as well. Her movements were now impossibly quick and precise. They moved through the station like ghosts, Jake's tactical knowledge combining with Lyra's enhanced senses to avoid their pursuers completely. When they finally reached the communication array, Jake's fingers flew over the human controls while Lyra interfaced directly with the Altarian components. "Earth Command, this is Commander Thompson," Jake spoke into the transmitter. "Priority Alpha rescue required at coordinates Beacon 779. Jake, this is Admiral Rodriguez. We've been searching for you for 3 days. Help is 12 hours out." "Copy that, Admiral. Be advised I have Princess Lyra with me and she's in good condition." As they waited for rescue, Jake and Lyra discovered the full extent of their transformation. Not only had they saved each other's lives, but they had created something unprecedented. A bridge between two species that had struggled to understand one another. "Your people will want to study this," Lyra said, watching the silver patterns pulse beneath Jake's skin in rhythm with her own. "Only if you consent," Jake replied. "You've taught me that true strength comes from choice, not obligation." 12 hours later, when the rescue ships arrived, they found something that would change interstellar relations forever. A human and an Altarian, linked by an act of selfless courage that had created the first successful symbiotic bond between their species. The peace treaty that followed was signed not just with words, but with a living symbol of what was possible, when different species chose to save rather than sacrifice each other. Jake Thompson had shared his blood to help her survive, but Princess Lyra had shared something far more precious in return, proof that the galaxy was full of possibilities. When courage met compassion,